Charleston is a pretty active area as far as the paranormal experiences. Charleston's been around since 1670 and it's had its ups and downs. It had a pretty bloody history getting to the point where it's at, so it does have a lot of ghosts. It has a lot of locations that are haunted in Charleston. I've spent quite a long time here in Charleston being in law enforcement. I was a homicide investigator for many years, and after I retired I always had an interest in folklore and legends. Decided to start looking into ghost tales. Well, I wrote a lot of books throughout the states, but after doing the ghost of the USS Yorktown, that was 2 years ago, and I haven't left this ship yet. It's pretty active, has a lot of interesting things going on this ship. You get everything from whispers to footsteps to doors slamming, hatches slamming, all the way up to full body apparitions. People claim to see a lot of things going on this ship. Shadowy apparitions to full body apparitions.
I've worked here for about 17 years now. Started when I was 13 years old as a volunteer project through school, and then fell in love with the place and went to work at age 14 just running papers, and now I'm currently an exhibit technician just doing audiovisual, interactive, entertaining stuff for the kids now. I've heard lots of shadowy figures. I've heard of footsteps. I've heard of people talking. Me personally, I've had tugs on me, and I've had doors come open on me, and other noise-related things. I haven't seen much. One time saw a shadow cut across a light, but that was the most of what I saw. It was back in my high school days when I would pretty much come out here on a Friday and leave on a Sunday morning, spend the whole weekend working, and we had staterooms where we would stay. And on this particular night, I was the only one down there. I was just sitting on the edge of the bunk, just collecting my thoughts, I guess. And all of a sudden, the door burst open, and I expected it to be maybe some kids wandering into where they shouldn't have been. And I went out to investigate, and at either end of the passageway from where I was, there were chains hanging, and the chains were perfectly still. It'd be hard for me to believe that somebody was able to zip under the chain real quick in the time it took for me to get up without making the chain sway at all. Plus, on a steel ship, you can hear footsteps from pretty far away, so for me to have not heard anybody running was a little concerning for me. But outside of that, I don't know really what to make of it. I had the door pinned shut, so it was definitely some force behind it.
About 2 years ago, we had a couple visiting from Wisconsin, and they took a picture of this helicopter, and after looking at their digital camera here on board the ship, they brought it to a crew member of ours to take a look at what appeared to be a human form in the back of the helicopter, and it does appear to be a crew member, which would have been a flight engineer with a helmet, Mae West jacket, uniform, standing in the back of the helicopter, we've tried to duplicate that shot many, many times to no avail. So it's one of those unexplained stories of the USS Yorktown and its crew.
January 23rd of 2013, on this aircraft carrier, we were hosting an investigation. About 2:30 in the morning, we get up onto the hangar deck. And as we're walking through the hangar deck, two of the young ladies point in the residual lighting towards the drink machines to a person who's walking down there, and they ask, "Who is that?" I said, "It's one of the security officers." The moms replies that it's neither of the security officers I saw tonight, and it definitely was neither of those two security officers. It was a young white male walking past the drink machines wearing a black coat and had a black hat on. Well, I noticed something they don't notice, and what I noticed is he does not have security and reflective letters on the back of his jacket. He's not a security officer. After 20 years of law enforcement, my brain automatically defaults to cop mode, and I realize we've got a trespasser on the ship. So I begin calling to him. He does not acknowledge. So at this point, I have a walkie-talkie. I want to get to him before he gets down below deck, contact security or law enforcement, and get him out of here. So I start running across the hangar deck towards the individual. I get to about 20 feet of him. He turns left towards a stairwell, and what I'm not anticipating is the fact that the other part of my brain says, look at the pretty round buttons on that U.S. Navy military pea coat. Realize he's wearing a pea coat. He has a hat on with some sort of writing across the crown of the hat. I start downshifting rather rapidly. He makes a step towards the stairs, and there is no longer anything there in front of me. 20 years of law enforcement, I've had a lot of things happen in that situation, running up onto a suspect. But that's the first time in my whole 50 years of existence I've ever had a person vaporize. That was a new one on me. Took a little bit of getting used to.
Where we are currently is we're up forward on the fourth deck near a Marines landing force equipment room, where I was up here and actually was able to get to the center of this room and felt a tug on my radio. I had a boom mic on my radio, and I actually felt it pull tight, and that's nothing out of the ordinary. It catches on things all the time, and I stopped to see what it was hung on, and by that time it had already snapped on me, and I was clear in the middle of the room, and the cord on the mic didn't reach to anything that I was standing near. It was a couple of feet shy of anything that it could have snagged on.
We had our current chief of police for the town of Mount Pleasant, who was a lieutenant at the time, had a very interesting experience when he was called on board because our security guards thought they had a prowler on the ship. And he and a sergeant at that time saw a large black mass that ran from them at a very rapid rate, faster than they said they could move, and it was a very large black mass. And it happened in the same area where on the program Ghost Hunters, they picked up an image on a video, a thermal camera video in the same location. So, you know, that was pretty interesting, compelling evidence. We've had a lot of reports of seeing what's called the shadow man, so it kind of fits with that as well. We've had certainly lots of reports of noises, but of course this ship makes a lot of noise when it's contracting and expanding because of heat differentials, but that sort of thing. We had a report of a lady in a berthing area where the campers stay, that her towel rose to the ceiling or the overhead of the compartment and came back down, and excited her a great deal. But the main thing is, if there are ghosts, period, and if there are ghosts on this ship, they're our guys, you know, and it's again very comforting, I think, to have them here.
There's such a thing as a ghost on this aircraft carrier as a hero, as a patriot, as an American who died for the freedoms of this country and died for all of our freedoms. So these are the good guys on here. There's nothing on this ship that's going to hurt you.
They were our greatest generation. They certainly did plenty for us back when the ship was operational in World War II, and it is very important that we don't forget about where we came from. And part of doing that is preserving ships of this nature that carried so many good Americans over to a fight, and so many of them lost their lives doing it, and so it's just right that we honor them this way.
Today I'm just here with the ETV crew. We're doing our own little mini investigation. We're gonna go around with the Yorktown Ghost tour first and see his experiences and stuff, and then we're gonna go a little bit more into the depth of the ship, and we're gonna see if we can experience something supernatural. Since I think it's around 2005, I've been to the Yorktown every Christmas with my dad and stuff, and I know the ship really well, and I love the history behind it and everything. And it's really awesome to be able to come and like get a behind the scenes tour.
I'm definitely a little bit nervous. Obviously it's one thing to hear a ghost story and be intrigued by something that you see, but then to actually have it happen to you is another thing entirely. But at the same time, while I think it's going to be a little bit creepy, I'm not really scared, just because I don't think any of the ghosts on this ship would be any kind of bad spirits. I think they all are coming from a good place, since they're all former sailors and former crew members.
I'm one of those people that's on the fence, sort of, where in the moment I'm like, yeah, I totally believe in ghosts, and then after it happens I might go back and be like, well, that could have been faked or stuff. But I believe with all the stories and everything we've heard here, I think that there are truly going to be some genuine experiences.
And I am rolling. Go ahead and come around the corner. See, by the time you get there, it's really working. I mean, it's really all over you. Yeah. All right, good. All righty. All right, now we'll just leave it rolling without us here and see what we get.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Make sure I don't kick the tripod. These are on tour. Just trying to cut across to a certain area. This area might be a good place to set up a camera, just to have something going. You can pick up sounds and sights. We've had some interesting things here. I've got trash up there out of you guys' way, so when you film around, you won't end up with that.
I'm hearing voices way in the distance.
United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces.
Let's go and see what we come up with.
You want this bag?
No, I'm gonna leave my bag there.
I'm gonna leave this bag here. Okay. All right.
Onward.
I'm ready.
That way?
That way.
I don't see any lighting in here. Like I thought I had seen, so. Don't think we have any power in the outlets.
Oh, he's over there. Get to the heart of the mystery.
Patriots Point Cup. The Sonya Waterborne. Alcoholic beverages. That was me.
This used to be completely empty, so one time I was in the tour, I came around and then it's full of people. So that's when they got a street expansion. empty. They didn't have displays in there the last time I'd been on the ship, so the next time I did an investigation was at night. So I used to it being empty, and when I turned the corner and saw those people there, I let out a string of language that back around towards where the bomb hit the ship and killed the 5 people. Mark?
Okay.
That might be an interesting area to go to.
Number 30, badly damaged, is carried. Given the deep space.
That's a put over a doorway. Do it. This lower one would be the captain, or excuse me, the captain's used to be the lower one. This one would be the admiral's up higher. The way it was constructed. And those would be, you said flight coordination centers where they could overlook the landings and control things, flight control towers in there. Would be my opinion anyway. So that's sealed off.
How's that kind of look to it?
Yeah. So this is completely reconfigured from what it looked like in World War II. The whole island structure was changed. Now, and that set off Jocko Clark. So what would happen is the admiral sent a courier down the ladders, down the stairwells here to where Jocko Clark was, and told him to come up to the admiral's quarters and talk, the admiral's deck. And Jocko Clark refused. Captain Jocko Clark told Parnell he was the most yellow son of a bitch that he'd ever met in his life, that he was turning around the aircraft carrier to go back and get his boys, and if he wanted to bust him to seamen when he got back to Pearl Harbor, to let him know that's fine, but he's going back and getting his guys. And they got in an argument in front of the parts of the crew here. I thought I was hearing movement before. Did you?
I heard a bang, or like
I heard a
step.
bang, and then, yeah, and then I thought I heard some movement.
Yeah.
I think if I had to listen to that all the time, I would want to blow something up.
I don't hear anything.
Peaceful.
Definitely there are some spirits hanging out on the Yorktown. We did not see any full body apparition, but I think all definitely had our moments where we experienced things that we couldn't necessarily explain. I know I myself definitely saw some shadows out of the corners of my eyes. Different moments you would hear whispers, bangs, bumps that there weren't any other people on the ship, so you had to wonder where they were coming from. Never did I ever feel uncomfortable though. Definitely a little bit uneasy, definitely feelings that you were being followed or that there was somebody right over your shoulder, but always very safe on the ship. Definitely some serious activity in the one berthing room. We all felt a little bit shaken up after we left there. Nobody after Bruce left wanted to go in there by themselves. And definitely in the one area where there's sort of a catwalk. I think there were some soldiers following me and Morgan around. But all in all, great experience. I really enjoyed my time on the Yorktown, and definitely some things I can't explain, but definitely some memories I'll take back as well.
I guess overall, I guess we did have some paranormal activity. I was expecting to see a lot more of like full body apparitions and stuff, and we didn't really see that as much. I saw a couple of shadows up in Bruce said it was like a flag control tower, and I saw a shadow darting past that window twice, and that was probably the closest that I came to actually seeing a ghost. But there was just a general feeling of like creepiness and uneasiness in a certain part. Between the catwalk on the hangar deck, between the gun off of Franklin, and some old memorabilia. There was definite, every time we passed, there was rhythmic noise and chatter and stuff. In the hallway, I might have caught a picture of a ghost, maybe. We're gonna have the professionals look at it, but overall, it was pretty good.
When we were done the next morning, I was actually a little disappointed because I was hoping to see a ghost. I was hoping to have some kind of experience, and I was a little disappointed. I came back and I downloaded all of my photographs that I took that night into the computer, and I started going through the photographs. And I realized two of the photos were kind of interesting. I wanted to take a photo of the hallway that had the laser grid shining on the walls. When I came back to ETV and was looking at those two still photos, I noticed in the second photo, you could see the back wall at the end of the hallway. The laser lights lit the back wall. The first photo, you couldn't. It was like there was a black mass over it. I thought, well, that's odd. And I thought, well, okay, where the blackness is, the laser lights are streaking, which means they're in motion because this is a timed exposure. All the other laser lights are perfectly still, but the few of those laser lights in the black mass are moving. Okay, wait a minute. So then I went back to the second photo, and we suddenly saw that there's this, what looks like a leg sticking out of the side room, which is a bathroom right there. There's a leg sticking out that wasn't there in the first photo. And in the second photo, the black mass had moved. I mean, it was like I caught two photos of someone walking through the hallway. This second unmanned camera was placed in a lower berthing area, basically where there are a bunch of bunk beds, and this is part of the public tour that you can go on that's below the hangar deck. Again, we left the camera unmanned. We were in a completely different part of the ship at this point. And at the end of this hall is a doorway. Through that doorway, you can't see it in this shot, but there's steps going down. In the middle of the night while we were gone, apparently the videotape recorded sounds of someone coming up the steps and walking across the floor. Another piece of evidence that we found back in the edit room was during the interview with Bruce, the ghost tour guide that went with us that night. At the time, we didn't hear this, but apparently while we were recording the interview, we heard a strange voice. It happened right after the interviewer asked Bruce about, well, who are these ghosts on the ship? And he explained these are sailors who died while serving our country and are considered heroes. They should be considered heroes. And as the interviewer started asking the next question, we hear something, and here it is.
You're a special ghost.
When we go on the tour,
I went into this with an open mind. I mean, I've never seen a ghost before in my life, so I didn't necessarily believe in ghosts, but I was willing to see what evidence there might be. I'm amazed what we got. I mean, the shots that I got of the ghost walking through the hallway, there's no other explanation for it. I can't explain it. The noises in the hallways, there's no other explanation for it. There was no one else in that part of the ship, and yet it sounds like there's people walking through the rooms. I'd love to go back in a heartbeat and do it again and spend another night.